know, mulch doesn't have to come in a bag. Today we're discussing living mulch, also known as ground covers. Plants that do the work of mulch while adding a bit of biodiversity and year-round cover to your yard. Living mulch refers to low-growing plants that are grown alongside or underneath your landscaping plants to serve the same function as traditional mulch, suppressing weeds, conserving soil moisture, and reducing erosion. Unlike bark or straw, living mulch is a permanent living cover. Many plants can be used this way, including liriope, creeping juniper, and Asiatic jasmine. These species form dense mats, limit weed competition, and help stabilize soil in areas that are prone to runoff. Living mulch must be managed to avoid competing with other plants for light, water, or nutrients. Make sure to select non-aggressive species and match them to the growing conditions and plant spacing in your garden. And for more gardening tips and plant education, come visit us at the New Hanover County Extension Plant Clinic. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Keep gardening, Cape Fear.